For now, though, we're going to move on to here in Germany. Well, the country is still reeling from last week's flooding, and the cabinet has now approved a €400 million relief package for the victims. Chancellor Angela Merkel has pledged to do everything possible to ensure that the funds are delivered quickly to those in need. More than 160 people are known to have died in the disaster, with dozens more still unaccounted for. Hard-hit communities are now confronting the daunting rebuilding process.
Until a few days ago, this was a sterile environment, a clean place where cancer and dialysis patients received medical care. But then the floodwaters came to the St. Antonius Hospital in Eschweiler. Equipment was destroyed. 300 patients were evacuated. Professor Uwe Janssens is a senior consultant here and one of Germany's leading experts on the corona pandemic. But right now he has just one focus. For us, it's important to show that the hospital will not cease to exist. I'm absolutely sure we will achieve that. People need us, and we will rebuild. Volunteers and staff are pitching in for now, but Janssens is conscious that reconstruction will take time and ultimately public cash will be needed. The state and the federal government are meeting in Berlin and they will release recovery funds, but we've already heard this is going to swallow up billions. The politicians are proposing a package of immediate assistance to the region worth €400 million, and they're promising help will come quickly and without bureaucracy. The financial aid must go speedily to the people, many of whom have nothing more than the clothes on their backs and are completely reliant on this help. The forms and the application procedures have to be as simple as possible, and they must be ready in the course of the week so that the first payments can go ahead as soon as possible. The floods could leave a deep hole in public finances. Across parts of western Germany, roads, bridges, rail lines will all need repairing and replacing. The 2002 flood on the Elbe and the Danube rivers ran up a bill of around €13 billion in Germany. The rebuilding this time may well cost much more. Amid criticisms about the failure of warning systems and the speed of the emergency response, one thing the political leaders can do is direct money to where it is so urgently needed.
All right, let's check in with our reporter now, Benjamin Alvarez-Gruber. He's on the ground covering the latest developments in the town of Bad Münstereifel. Benjamin, there are now also fears of coronavirus spreading faster. How are health authorities responding to that threat?
That's right, Sumi. We are not in Bad Münstereifel. We were there yesterday. Today we are in Ahrweiler, one of the worst hit cities in the state of Rhineland-Palatinate, where local authorities and state authorities fear that the areas affected by the floods might also become a super spreader event. So they brought a mobile vaccination center. It's a bus that you can see here right behind me, where not only residents but also volunteers can come here to get their jab without an appointment. Yesterday, there was the first day of this bus. More than 260 people got their jab here, and there will be also teams going to the emergency shelters where local authorities fear that the risk of getting infected with COVID-19 is especially high.
Dozens and dozens of people in the area are still unaccounted for. So what can you tell us at this point about rescue efforts where you are?
Rescue efforts continue around the clock. There are several groups involved. There is on one side police. There are also soldiers that have been deployed to the area. The civil emergency organization is also here, and a lot of volunteers. We spoke to firefighters and they told us that they're still trying to pump water out of houses and of underground parking lots where some people are still feared to be inside of those cars. So the search continues. There are a lot of people involved also to give advice and guidance and also psychological support to the families of people that are still searching for their relatives here in the area.
You mentioned psychological support. I mean, at this point, Benjamin, what are the biggest challenges to provide relief to the victims?
The biggest challenges are logistical ones. That there are still places where it's really difficult to get there. When we look at the riverbank, very small towns where still firefighters are still trying to make it to those places. Many bridges have been destroyed, many streets have been destroyed. We've seen city centers also where the water washed away entire cars. So they're working block after block, house after house, trying to pump water out there, sludge out there, and there are also a lot of volunteers supporting there. So what we've seen over the past days is a lot of solidarity, a lot of volunteers who've made it to the place and are supporting the rescue groups to get much needed help, but also to get food, also to get donations and try to get to the people as fast as possible.
DW's Benjamin Alvarez-Gruber reporting for us there on the ground. Thank you very much. Now, to provide more assistance to the victims, just a short while ago, the German government approved an emergency aid package for the flood-hit regions. And our chief political correspondent, Melinda Crane, joins us from outside the Chancellery for more on this story. Hi, Melinda. The Interior Minister just outlined how this relief package should be made available very quickly to the victims. So tell us more about what was said.
Indeed, the Interior Minister and the Finance Minister have been holding a press conference after the Cabinet returned from its summer break to meet here at the Chancellery. And both ministers said that there was complete agreement among the Cabinet members that this aid needed to get out fast and without the normal bureaucratic hurdles. So that can be something of a stretch for Germany. But the fact is that it does have some practice now after having provided pandemic relief in many cases also with very quick unbureaucratic processes. What does unbureaucratic mean? Well, it means there's no detailed means testing. People won't have to fill out a lot of forms or go through a lot of hurdles. What the two ministers also had to say is that this initial pot of 400 million in total, that's 200 million federal funding and 200 million in matching funds from the 16 federal states, that this will be augmented as needed, with the finance minister saying if we need to do more, we absolutely will do more. And they said that longer term, we're looking at expenditures for repairing and rebuilding more resilient infrastructure meaning infrastructure that can truly withstand further storms of this kind of magnitude, that this will cost at least 6 billion euros based on the experiences with past floods. But as we know, even the worst of the past floods were scarcely comparable to this disaster, the worst in 60 years. So we're likely looking at far larger expenditures than that for the medium to longer term.
Our chief political correspondent, Melinda Crane from the Chancellery there. Thank you.